Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Expat Conversations with your host, Michael Nolen. I want to say thank you very much, first of all, to Dr. Marco Antonio Cortez Gradado, who is the rector of the University of Guadalajara, Institute of Innovation, Investigation, and Governance. This is the department of the university that outreaches to the expat community around the world, and it helps us have this show and educate everybody about the different events and things that are going on up here in the lakeside. I have a very special guest today, Marianne Carlson, and she has a very unique history being down here in Lakeside. She's one of my VIPs. She's a very important person, but she's very impressive and very sweet. I've only known her a little while, but she's a very sweet lady. And Marianne, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
I'm just going to let her talk a little bit about her history, how she got down here to Lakeside and the Chapala area, and then kind of how you got into your project, which we're going to be talking all about today. It's a very important event that's held here annually, Lakeside. And so, again, thank you for taking the time to come, and the mic's yours.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I moved to Mexico 26 years ago. I've always known I would live in Mexico from the first time I traveled here. And when I got here, one of the things I've always loved about Mexico is the art. And so I traveled a lot, and I saw art that I'd never seen before. I was a collector when I was in the United States, but I came upon a book called Great Masters of Mexican Folk Art, and many of the things in that book I'd never seen. So I decided to take a trip between here and Michoacan and go and find some of these artists and talk to them about their lives and their work. And across the board, they were telling me that their lives were very hard because they had nowhere or very few places to sell their work. And many of them were extremely sad about the fact their children were not going to follow in their footsteps because they didn't want the hard lives that their parents had endured. And I thought, well, criminy, I'm a good organizer. I put on a couple events in the United States. Why don't I see if I can put on an event here in Mexico and give them some promotion? So the first year we used a conference room at Hotel Real de Chapala, and I had 6 artists.
Now, how many years ago was that?
That was 22 years ago.
Okay, just a little while ago.
Yeah. So we had 6 artists, and they were just from Jalisco and Michoacan. And they sold everything they brought. And so we decided to do it the next year. I had no plans about how long this show would go on, where it would go, what I do. It just, year by year, if it went well, I did it again. The first 4 years, I paid for everything myself. When the artists came, I had a good Mexican friend who asked me, well, where are they going to sleep? And I said, well, I sent them a letter with a list of hotels. And she said, oh, they're not going to spend their money on a hotel. They'll ask you if they can sleep under their table or they'll sleep in their car. And I said, oh, no, they won't. So I called friends, and I found houses or casitas for them to stay in. And then she asked me, well, what are they going to eat? And I said, well, we're at a hotel. They have a restaurant. She said, they're not going to buy this expensive food. So we had a place called Super Burrito back then, and I smuggled food in every day for them for lunch. And then I'd pick them up at night and take them to a restaurant. And I did that for 4 years until I couldn't afford to do it myself anymore.
This is what you call the real true starving artist. People that they're coming, trying to sell their goods, but yet they do it at their local area and have never had an event where they traveled across the country of Mexico to try and peddle their goods.
Those first 4 years, they paid their transportation to get here, but I paid for everything else and kept hosting, finding hosts for them. So after 4 years, I put an ad in the paper for volunteers, and 18 people I had never met walked through the door, and we ended the meeting with some coordinators, some ideas, decided we would become nonprofit, and we went on from there. This year is our actually 21st year because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We had to cancel 2 years, and we have 85 artists.
So it's gone from 22 years ago to 85 now.
Right.
And with the 85 artists, you have 85 hosts, and
Well-
you have 85 places they're going to eat, and this, that, and the other. So it's really expanded and grown.
Not all the 85 are hosted. Those that are from Jalisco and live close by, Tonalá, Guadalajara, they go home at night.
Okay.
But everyone else is hosted.
What percentage are like a local artist, let's say within 40 or 50 miles, versus the others that come all the way from Oaxaca, Chiapas, maybe Monterrey, maybe Mérida?
We have no formula. We have a committee that goes through our applications. We don't want to duplicate art. We'll have ceramics, but each ceramicist makes a different kind of ceramics.
Okay.
We don't want competition. We want them to make as much money as they can. And by the way, we take no money from them. We don't take a booth fee. We don't charge them a percentage of sales. They keep every centavo they make. And for some of them, a lot of them, what they earn at the feria is the majority of the income they make all year. So artists really, really like to come to this show.
What is, I kind of skipped over this and I apologize. What is the official name of the show?
Feria Maestros del Arte.
Okay. And it is held it was held, as you said, in the conference room the first year. Now it's held at the Yacht Club Marina area of the Lake Chapala Marina in Chapala, which a lot of people, me being included, I didn't know where that was until I was driven over there and showed. So if you're going to be coming to the show, it'd be the east side of Chapala. If you know where the Malecón is, it's at the very end of the Malecón. It'd be the east end of the Malecón, correct?
And it's called Club de Artes de Chapala. And there'll be signs directing you all the way. And it's a beautiful site. It's right on the lake, on grass, big white tents. It's a beautiful venue.
Well, this year's event is just in a couple of days. It's November 10th, 11th, and 12th, and that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the hours are?
On Friday and Saturday, 9:30 to 5. On Sunday, 9:30 to 4.
Okay, and I'm going to give you a warning. Anyone that wants to come, right now for the next 6 months or so, there's major construction being done on the main road of Chapala. So if you're coming in from the Guadalajara area, you're going to come into Chapala around the Soriana, which I believe is a big grocery store. You'll probably want to veer to the left and go down the road a couple miles, I guess it is, instead of going down the main road, because it's a lot of construction. So you'll want to veer to the left, but once you get over there,
They have signs directing you to the Malecón.
okay, that's fabulous. And the hours are going to be from,
On Friday and Saturday, 9:30 to 5.
okay.
On Sunday, 9:30 to 4.
Now there is a small fee to get into the gate,
It's 100 pesos.
100 pesos, which is about $5.75 at today's current rate.
And that's the only money the feria earns. We have a charity raffle, and we split that with this year a charity in San Juan Cosalá. So between the admissions and the raffle, and we have a booth called Artists Supporting the Feria, they donate 2 pieces of their work, one for the raffle, one for the ASF booth. That's the only money we earn. And to put this show on, we have incredible patrons who have supported us over the years, and that's where most of our money comes from.
You mentioned a little while ago you started off with some ceramics, and what all the different types of art are there? I know, art is very vast, and art, what do they say? Art is in the eye of the beholder. And I've seen some things I think, well, I guess it could be art. I'm not really sure. The strangest art I ever saw was by Yoko Ono, the ex-wife of John Lennon. And this was at a very contemporary art museum in Houston, Texas. It was a display that was going on, an exhibition going around the world. And when you walked into a single room, there was nothing but white. It was about an 8 by 8 white room. There was a ladder that went up about 6 feet. And you went up to that ladder, you climbed it up. It was white. And there was a little platform about 5 by 7 inches. Little tiny thing at the top of those 8 or 9 stairs. And you got up there and there was a photograph of John Lennon. That's all it was, a little photograph. And then you went down, but that was her art. And it was unique.
That art is totally different than the art at the feria.
This is crafts.
It's called Arte Popular in Mexico, or Artesanía. And it's all traditional art that's made by hand, much of it passed on for generations in a family, and originally all started as utilitarian pieces, and then somebody saw it and thought it was a beautiful piece and started collecting, and that happened more and more and more. So a lot of the utilitarian items are still that, but they're also collectible.
So you're going to be having artists from all over Mexico.
13 states.
And say about how many categories? You have ceramics, you'll have paintings, you'll have carvings.
Okay, we have ceramics, textiles, ex votos. Paintings aren't really folk art.
Okay.
We've had a couple of painters that really represent Mexican tradition, life in Mexico, but painting is art when it's on something, when it's on a piece of ceramics or wood. We have metal. Every category of you could think of. If you go on our website, www.feriamaestros.com, all of the artists are there by category, and you can go through, and every artist has their own page.
Oh, wow.
With a biography and pictures of their work.
Will you give that out one more time?
www.feria, F-E-R-I-A, Maestros, one word, maestros.com.
Well, thank you for spelling it, because that'll help me out. My English isn't the greatest. My Spanish is almost non-existent. It's going to be a really, really great event. I would say get there early. It covers a pretty good plot of land. So wear comfortable shoes. We're going to hope it's not rainy.
It's not going to be raining.
It's not. It's out. The rainy season's over.
We don't talk about the R word.
Okay. All right. Well, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a great event. And what would you estimate, and it's totally individual, how much time do you think it takes to go from booth to booth to booth?
Oh,
Some people are going to walk past and can be done in 15 minutes and go back and watch TV or go eat or something. Some people are probably going to be there for hours because they're going to talk to the artist, they're going to find out the history, they're going to look at different pieces. So, average, 3 hours?
One of the interesting things about the feria is you get to meet the artist that made the piece that you're going to purchase. Some people are there all day. We have food, there's drink, we have entertainment.
Okay. So there is.
So you can shop a while and sit down and relax and get up and shop again.
Perfect. It could be a whole day event if you want to make it that way.
We try and keep people there as long as we can.
Well, that's fabulous. Well, we've covered an awful lot. You've given out the website, you've given out the dates. The important thing is people that are listening now prior to the event can go and look at the different types of art, crafts, and the artists, and they may say, oh, I'm a collector of this type of black clay that's molded and cut that comes from Oaxaca or outside of Oaxaca. Or they may be someone that's really excited. I know a lady and she makes bowls and stuff out of straw, pine straw, pine needles. I mean, it's just amazing, some of the art. And I'm sure you'll see art there that you've never seen before.
Yes, you will.
It's most all of it that I've seen is very, very colorful, very beautiful. Price range. Let's talk about, everybody bring your money. Be sure to bring your money. Do they take credit cards, or is it each individual artist? Some have credit cards, some are only cash, some is American, some is Canadian, some is only Mexican pesos.
We take credit cards.
Okay.
If the artist has signed up for our credit card program. It's now they've got these little gizmos that you can hook to your cell phone, and we've encouraged most of the artists to go out and get one of them. They're very inexpensive. So I would say probably 90% of the artists now have the ability to take credit cards, and that's where most of them make their biggest sales.
I love your word gizmo. That's one you don't hear every day in modern language, but I know exactly what a gizmo is, and I'm sure a lot of our listening audience does too. Well, be sure, and they take cash also.
Oh yes, and if you run out of cash or need more money from your card, we will take you to the nearest bank.
Great. Our ATM, I'm sure there's plenty of ATMs up and down the Malecon area.
There's plenty of parking. We have handicap parking. It's a pretty easy area to get around. You're walking on grass, but if you have any kind of mobility issues, keep that in mind. And if you need any help, just ask.
Well, you've given out a lot of information. What haven't I asked you, or what do you think we haven't touched on that would be important to our listening audience today?
Well, even if you are not a collector of folk art, but you're living here in Mexico, you're a guest of Mexico, I think it's important to know why this art is so important and what it means to Mexico if it disappears. And a lot of the different mediums are disappearing at an alarming rate because there are duplicates being made in China. A lot of people would rather pay less for the duplicate than pay a little more for the real original piece of art. And we're hoping to educate people that, you know, to spend that little bit of extra money, you have an incredible piece of art to display.
Original one of the kind,
art.
probably in
Right.
many instances.
Right.
And you're helping local people be able to not only make a living, but help sustain the art that they're creating and the folklore and the history, because some of this art has probably been made somewhere in Mexico for hundreds, if not maybe
generations,
thousands of years. So it's very important. And I do that with my shopping and almost anything I'm buying. I try and support the local populations. I mean, these big giant corporations are great sometimes, but to support the local people is very important. And I'm not just talking about local Lakeside, I'm talking about local Mexicans, because this is their art. They have dedicated their life, and they've probably learned, like you said, generations. And they want to be able to teach their children. And if children these days, or teenagers, can't see that they're going to make a certain amount of living, I mean, there's a love of the art, but if they can't make a living and they can't feed their family and enjoy things in life, they're going to go do something else.
That's a big problem.
I can't express more a fun event, 2 or 3 hours or at least a day there. Like she said, there's going to be entertainment, food, opportunities to sit and talk with the artist. Now you may have to wait in line 5 minutes till the artist gets tired, or not tired, that's the wrong word, gets through communication with the other person that's in front of you in the line. But there's usually 1 or 2 people at each booth, correct? The
Yes.
artist. And so if they're not there, maybe their sister or their brother or their co-worker or whatever. So you will be able to talk to them, and you will be able to learn more about the piece you're wanting to buy. And I know one man that came over here 2 years ago, or a year ago, I guess it was last year. He wanted a certain piece, but he wanted it a little bit different. And he talked to the artist, and they said, I can make this for you.
Yeah, they will do custom
Give me 30
work.
days, and I'll have it, made and custom exactly like you want. I'll have it cut this way or whatever. And so custom work. They do take orders, and if you want 6 or 8 of something, kind of matching but a little bit different, they'll do that for you. So it's a great opportunity to get to know the artist, and it's very rare. If you go to any big store, you're not going to find the person that was over in China that made that little whatever.
A couple things I didn't mention. This year, our focus is on the state of Oaxaca. And we have Danza de la Pluma, which is one of the most famous dances performed in Mexico. That'll be on our stage all 3 days.
Perfect.
They have incredible, huge costumes and headpieces they wear that are all made out of feathers. And we also have translators. And you just look for a yellow sign that says translator on it if you need help with the Spanish.
I'm sure there are some of the indigenous artists from parts of Mexico that aren't impacted by the gringos or the Canadians that probably may not even speak English.
Oh, we have several artists that don't speak Spanish. They speak their native
Their
tongue,
indigenous
and
language.
the other person they bring with them is the translator for them into Spanish.
I've got a very, very good friend, Jorge Yepes, or George Yepes. He's out of California, but he's started back, I would say, in the late 60s as a graffiti guy in LA, East LA. He's Chicano. Anyway, long story short, George is very, very famous. He does a lot of painting for Hollywood. When Selma Hayek made the movie Frida, they couldn't get the Diego Rivera or the Frida Kahlo paintings to put in the movie, so George painted exact duplicates.
Wow.
And that's what they used in the filming. And he's done that in many, many, many movies. You would not believe how many. But George, I was up there several years ago in Los Angeles for the International Film Festival that the university had, and Jeannie Rivera, who was a very famous Mexican artist, had just passed away. And her family contacted George to paint a life-size photograph of her, or life-size painting of her, which he did. They're revealing it at a very famous Chicano art gallery in downtown Los Angeles, the East Side. And there's every TV, every radio, every YouTube type Hispanic program was there to interview George about the display. Well, George says, looks right at the camera and goes, I speak with my art. So if you want to hear what I have to say, look at my art. And kind of bowed and said thank you and walked off. Well, here's about 30 reporters holding their mics all ready for a 5-minute interview. And I'm sure some of the people that are coming to see you, are coming to the show, do the same. They're probably not real chatty type people like I am. I'll talk your leg off and maybe your other leg and an arm. But their art, they speak with their art. I guarantee if you come to this program, or this, not program, if you come to this exhibition, you're going to love it. You're going to find something you never knew existed. You'll buy it. It'll be in your home and you'll remember it forever. So that's great.
If you read the biographies on the website, you'll see that many of them are involved in programs to keep this art alive. We have one artist from Puebla, Ilan Cruz, who this year in Mexico City, when they had their fashion week, he was chosen as one of the artists, textile artists, to work with Christian Dior.
Oh, wow.
And his work was used on designs by Christian Dior.
That's incredible.
And he'll be giving a lecture at the feria about the plagiarism problem in Mexico, where a lot of designers do not give due credit to either the fact it's made in Mexico or to the artists themselves. There's a lot to learn about Mexico itself if you come to the feria. And you don't have to collect folk art. Come and just appreciate the ability of these incredible people And there might be something that you've never seen before that'll turn you into a beginner collector.
Or you might want to be starting that kind of art. You didn't know it existed. You are an artist, and you thought, well, I do this and this, but here's something I've never known existed, and it might kind of move you to a different path in your art quest.
There's something for everybody there.
Well, once again, I want to say thank you very much. Again, the dates are November 10th, 11th, and 12th. Again, the times are
Friday and Saturday, 9:30 to 5, and on Sunday, 9:30 to 4.
okay. Anything else in closing?
No, just come and support us.
It'll be a lot of fun. You'll see a lot of folks that you've never seen before. You'll see a lot of types of art you probably don't know exist. And then you'll see your next door neighbor, because they'll be over there
Yep.
too. It's a big social event too. Is it like Kentucky Derby where you have to wear a fancy hat, or you just come as you are?
You can come as you are, but if you happen to wear indigenous clothing like I do, wear it. Show off the beautiful huipil or rebozo you
That you
purchased.
bought from somewhere else around
Yeah.
Mexico.
Yeah,
Because I'm sure you'll see a lot of that.
you will.
And you'll see, like you said, the fashion man. Art can be worn, and you'll see people wearing art, original pieces. If it's not jewelry, beautiful earrings like yourself, or dresses, shoes.
We also have a fashion show all 3 days.
Wow.
If you go on the website, you'll see the entertainment schedule.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you one more time. Please give out the website one more time.
www.feriamaestros.com.
Marianne, thank you very, very much for your time. Thank you for coming and giving out this very important information to our listening audience. And I will be at the fair. I'm actually hosting, my wife and I are actually hosting a family, I guess, a man and a woman that are artists coming over, I think, from Mexico City. At least that's what I was told. I don't know who exactly it might be, but whoever it is, we're going to have a fun time and learn
We will.
about them. And what was the name of that burrito place you got those burritos at? I might have to go buy some.
Actually, it's not around anymore.
Oh, well, then I'll cook them some Oklahoma meatloaf, mashed potatoes and gravy, and a little bit of cream
What they
corn.
appreciate most is food they're used to.
Well, I'll give them food they never had before, and they'll go, hey, this is pretty good.
Some of them it's hard for them to try things they haven't had.
Well, in Mexico you have tacos. In Oklahoma we have what we call Indian tacos, which are a little bit different. They're like a fried pie, but I'm sure they might cook some of those up.
They're
and enjoy
not
it.
fussy people.
Thank you very much. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate your time. It's been an honor to get to
welcome.
know you a little better and get to know about the event. And please make sure November 10th, 11th, and 12th, come to the art festival, as I call it, and enjoy it. We'll have a great time. Thank you again for tuning in today to another exciting episode of Expat Conversation with Michael Nolen. We'll see you on the next show.
Happy trails to you until